girl all the time. And now, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our sacred space. They're over here laughing at me. It's my 1-900 voice. You know, this is Maris and we're keeping it real. And I'm joined today with Matthew and Gabby.
Hola.
And we're like kind of laughing. We've just been laughing about a lot of different things this morning. And I was sitting there thinking, just when I was using that voice, I used to work in an emergency room. And when I started out in the emergency room, I was like a clerk in the front. And then I was the unit coordinator for the ER on my shift, and I loved that job. And one of the things that we had to do is we had to call the doctor, you know, for the doctor. So the ER doctor would say, I need to speak to Dr. Smith or whatever, and so you'd have to get Dr. Smith on the phone. Mm-hmm. And when I would use my regular voice, they'd get snippy with me, or they'd hang up, you know, all those kind of things. So, because, I mean, I work night shift, okay? Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm the one calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning. So one night, I just decided to change my voice. And so I had to kind of flick my hair back to do this. Do it again, okay. Dr. Smith, this is Maris from ER. Dr. Jones would like to speak with you, please. And they would just be like, yeah. I am like butter on hot toast. And so I graduated nursing school and I'm working up in ICU. And I have to call the doctor about one of my, or you know, a patient. And so I'm sitting there at the desk, and there's like 2 or 3 doctors sitting around me doing, you know, patient notes and, you know, seeing their patients. And so I get on the phone, flicking my hair back again, and I'm like, and I'm like, Dr. Smith, this is Maris from the ICU. You know, and I say what I need to say, and I get my doctor's orders, and I hang up the phone, and all 3 of the doctors just kind of look at me, and they go, you're the voice? And I'm like, yeah, surprised. Bitches. You know, I didn't say the bitches to them, but yeah. Surprise. So I think that's how phone sex operators do their job. Because, I mean, God, you know, we were talking about this a couple nights ago or whatever. You know they're sitting there. Ain't nobody sitting there with a, you know, a G-string and garters and high heels and all that bull. You know. Yeah. They're wearing, you know, they got their sport, you know, yeah. They probably got their hair in sweatpants.
I'm touching,
mismatched socks. They got chin hair growing, you know, whatever. They just have that voice and imagination.
Well, you've seen some of the shows, like, you have, like, so I, like, had, like, that little squeaky, like, match.
No, not at all. But, yeah, you can put on, I actually was one of those 1-900 psychics. I can't even remember the name of who it was that I worked for. This is like 30 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a 1-900 psychic. And so this guy that worked on the sex phone lines was trying to recruit me to work.
Oh, my God.
And and so I'm like, I can't even get 3 words out without laughing. You know, because all I'm thinking, you know, because I got, like, real negative thoughts.
I feel like
I'm stereotyping the, you know, whoever's on the other end of the phone. And so I was like, no, man, I can't do that. And so he's like, well, you know what you can do? And I'm like, yeah, okay, what can I do? Shh, do I really want to hear this, you know? And he's like, well, yeah, you can do shoes and underwear. And I'm like, what? Did you just say? And he's like, you can do shoes and underwear. And I'm like, what the hell? What are they doing with my DNA? You know? I'm just like, that's like too off the wall.
I remember that reminds me of an old job, like, because when someone ordered, like, on cable, we had, if they asked us to, we had to read out the entire title. So we're like, well, on such and such day, you ordered.
Suck me, fuck me all night long.
No, my biggest, my most interesting was, I think it was called Big Black Tsunami.
You rented Big Black Dick. Was it dick or pussy? Cock Tsunami. And Matthew's over there embarrassed to say the word cock. He like, just like, you know, back in this, well, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but back in the 60s and the 70s when I was growing up, let's say if somebody had cancer or a negative thing, you know, they would say, oh yeah, Marge, she's got cancer. And you know, her and Bill got a divorce. You know, they would never, ever, ever say cancer, divorce, cheating, you know, anything like that.
I love it when they pause it in the wrong spot, though. Like, they got a divorce.
Yeah. You're like, what?
Did you not put the pause, the little whisper in the right spot, or did you just purposely do that?
Well, no, that's because if they purposely do it in the negative word, they're doing that to throw you under the bus.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
You know, so it's like, no, you know, we're going to treat you like crap, you know. We want everybody to know that Marge and Bill got a divorce. Because Marge was cheating.
With the mailman and the milkman.
And now she's got cancer. She deserves every piece of that. Oh, honest to God, I did not ever mean to say that. No.
I'm not trying to talk about nobody, but, you know, I got the good word.
Oh, yeah, really, definitely. Now, I had this chick that, I had a pet shop back in the 90s, and so this chick worked.
Go in the mall?
No, it wasn't in the mall. It was actually at the flea market.
Aww.
And there was a guy, I'm going to call him Spiders and Snakes, but that wasn't, I don't remember what his name was, but he had the pet shop, he had the original pet shop, and he closed it up, and within like 2 weeks we opened up. And so yeah, I liked reptiles, but I didn't like snakes, and then my kids ended up making me get snakes, and yeah, so it all worked out for the good, and then I sold it, and that guy, I guess it was shut down or whatever. I heard he died on a motorcycle accident, so I'm assuming, but that guy was kind of cool. And weird and the same thing, because you'd go to his house and there was a cage or a tank, and it had all these baby rattlesnakes that he picked up, and I'm like, is he like weird? No, he kind of, he was different. But going back to, there was this chick and her, you know, I can't say her name, but she worked for me, or worked with me, whatever. And I was the money, and she liked to call herself the brains. But anyway, so she was from New York.
New York?
New York. Honest to God. That's how she talked all the time. Honest to God, I'd never do anything to hurt you, as she was like stealing from the till. You know, things like that. You have been a lifesaver. A lifesaver. So, no, that was kind of interesting, but yeah. That was back in the days.
Oh, nice. Good times.
Yep. Today's Reiki was rather interesting. You know, it had the word loneliness, or the concept of loneliness came up several times over the past like 24 hours. So I was like, well, I guess we're supposed to do this about loneliness. Anything you guys was there anything that came up to mind?
I focused a lot on the heart when I was in the bowl. Like, the heart was pulling me toward it a lot.
The heart was?
That's mainly what I was focusing whenever I was going in there.
Yeah.
Like, majority of the time, it was kind of just going back and forth between like the heart and the mind not being in conjunction with what you are wanting.
I thought that was interesting what you were talking about on like the stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of like bring everybody else up to Gabby speed?
So, light years. So I'm not quite familiar with like all the steps of grief. Let me go ahead and pull them up so then that way I know. But one of the things that came up for me whenever we were talking about loneliness, and there's different like the steps of alcoholism. Like you have the 12 steps, and then you have like I think it's like either 5 or 6 the steps of grief.
Yeah.
And so go ahead, Mary.
Oh no, I was gonna say the 5 steps of grief. Yeah.
And is it? Yes. So the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So one of the things that Maris had said that one of the things that came up was anger. It was anger. And so whenever you're going through the steps of grief and feeling the loneliness is the thing that came up to me the most was that in the process of you finding yourself or having realizations about certain things in your life. Sorry, I'm like getting images in my head.
What images?
It's just like going really fast. That whenever you're on your spiritual journey about finding who you are and who you want to be, sometimes that's not always in conjunction with your mind and your heart. And so whenever you're having those steps of acceptance or even feeling of that loneliness, sometimes we do get caught up in those things and we feel lonely in the process of finding ourselves, and we feel angry or you're in denial of certain things, or people don't always understand where you're coming from or how you view yourself and where you want to go from that point.
Because when you start looking at it in that perspective, because I'll tell you, this is what just came up, was that sometimes we have that self-imposed loneliness, where we have chosen that either by our actions or by our choices.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we can also have that loneliness that's, and I think that's the one that I'm picking up on around, as in, here, there, everywhere kind of feeling, is when we feel disconnected loneliness. And it's kind of like, well, letters are great, but it's not like talking to them.
Yeah,
I can
it's
text
different.
you all night, but sometimes laying in bed together is a deeper connection because I can.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's not, and I'm going to put it, and it's not even about sex.
No, it's
Yeah,
not. It's
no.
not even
When you-
sexual.
It's about the connection, like you were talking about.
It's that vibration, that connection, and and it's like a lot of people can, and I think that's why some people go on like those Grindr, Tinder, Match.com. I don't know what all the different, I know there's a
Bumble
lot
or
of
whatever, yeah.
I think sometimes though in this world it's a self-confidence thing because, and I've watched it happen to a lot of my friends on Grindr. They will get on there and the world is so superficial, they will get to where they feel closed off and alone because they feel ugly and they feel unlovable. But it's because you're putting yourself in the middle of this superficial world. And you're around people who are strictly walking around with no purpose. I hate to say it that way, but it feels like it's the only way to really say it, is they're walking around without purpose and they're walking in a superficial world, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I was like, because we're a facade. Our online personality, our online, it's like, think about relationships where they meet online and, and they're like, oh, this person is my total. And they make me feel complete. I'm like so crazy about them, blah, 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 blah. And then they even talk on the phone with each other. And then all of a sudden one day they meet in the person and the vibration is totally different.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
but, and I was like, from, all of the, it was like, why do people go on dating sites or, hookup lines or whatever. That the thing on TV, it always blows my mind, like on a Friday or Saturday night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and they have that singles chat line.
Yeah.
I was like, actually, I was friends with this chick like 20 years ago. She was really cool. And probably a little less, probably about 18 years ago. And she had moved out of state and was living in on the coast. And I won't say East Coast, West Coast. I'm not trying to like blast anybody out here. Was living in this city, and she was lonely. And wanted to meet people, but she worked a lot and blah, blah, blah. So she called up this little chat line thing and was talking to somebody, and this guy ended up coming over, and I guess they watched a movie or something, and then she's like, it's time for you to go home, and he ended up, he raped her. And she never reported it to the police.
Was there reasoning for that?
She felt that she would have been discounted because it was one of those meetup lines.
Well, they had one in the city here, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago. There was a guy on Grindr, and he resented people because he had got AIDS, and he purposely made it a point to go find anyone he could find and make sure to spread it. It was like his mission was to spread it. They finally, he got arrested for it, because that's murder. That's considered murder now. If you know you have it and are not.
Yeah, you have to tell
Not
people.
in California.
What?
In California,
Oh, yeah, they did.
you don't have to disclose that you have AIDS.
or HIV or
You're HIV positive or AIDS.
My
Yeah.
thing is, that's a mutual respect. I expect that that's going to match, I'm straightforward with you, be straightforward with No, I understand if you don't know, because I know it can incubate for 7 years it can incubate? Or something?
Yeah, something
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a while, but even then it's...
There's still signs, but
Yeah.
there's that you don't know, so I understand if you don't, honestly just don't know.
Yeah,
Reckless,
that's
but it's more understandable because you don't, but you're willingly going out and giving people, because some people can't get the medical care. Some
Yeah,
people you
that's
are giving
true.
a death sentence to.
Yeah, that happened to one of my family members.
Oh,
and-
the HIV.
Yeah, something like that. And so basically, the person that they were with ended up basically being with them for a while, and I guess something happened, and then out of nowhere they ended up just like leaving, and so then there were some other like financial things that ended up coming up where they ended up taking money or something happened, and then he ends up finding out that that they have they have HIV or whatever, not even knowing that the other person had it.
So
And
it was like,
sad.
yeah, but in California, it's no longer. It's not considered murder, felony, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and they probably see, and I think they're at a point, in that particular culture, on the coast. I think they're at the point like herpes is no big deal, and so you don't have to tell somebody that you have herpes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because everybody will have her. I look at it like that. That I think that's a lot of the attitude, and so
My
that.
ex was that way with AIDS. He basically said everybody's gonna get it eventually. I was like, are you?
No, that is not
Oh,
true.
it's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
exactly. I know. I agree, but yeah, he straight was like, oh yeah, everybody's gonna eventually get it. It's just gay diabetes. I was like,
That is
Excuse me?
not true.
The gay diabetes.
I
That
was
is
like,
that's the most awful thing to say.
Well, yeah.
especially from
That's
someone
really
in the
bad.
community. It's like,
yeah.
But see, you know what pisses me off about that is that when and the same thing is, even with heterosexual, couples or whatever, is that when you have somebody that has that attitude and they say things to that effect, that it puts this idea or concept in people that are not a part of that community to stereotype.
oh yeah.
So it's like, well, all gays are,
It puts
and I'm like,
it puts a
no,
bad
they're
brand.
not.
Promiscuous, yeah.
All gays are not promiscuous.
Promiscuous.
There's a lot of gays that have.
If not, they're more
Monogamous
picky.
friends.
I feel like they're more picky.
Oh yeah.
To an
Yeah.
extent, yeah.
You know, I was like, no. And it's, you know, not all men are macho. Not all women are, you know, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
stop placing people into stereotypes that really don't, you know.
Quit putting people in boxes.
Exactly, because I was like, I know a lot of gay couples, and you know, and
You got like a whole bunch of floating around your head.
and I'm like, and they're in monogamous relationships, or you know, the one, you know, I said in the ones that are married or you know or together. I said, I think you guys aren't married,
No.
okay, but every other gay couple I know, they're legally married. And so I'm like,
But basically, for most intents and purposes, I mean, we have everything matches. So it's
well, I'm kind of like, you know, y'all are married in the Indian way.
yeah.
So
I mean, honestly, if Oklahoma did common law, we'd be common law at this point because it's like we basically everything is joint bank account, joint. Only thing we're not joint about is like the house because I can't be out, but you know the will itself. I mean, there's everything is joint. with
Yeah.
us.
so you know, I'm kind of like, so stop stereotyping. Just, you know, it's just like they stereotype healers, or you know, healers is
They're
that
frauds.
everybody is peace, love, and harmony and unity. Oh my goodness, you know, oh goddess, the spirits. You know, it was like not all of us are like that, and that was another conversation we were having. Is that I guess Matthew said something. Oh, they said that you're too aggressive,
Yeah.
and I started laughing on that, and I was like, no, I'm kind of like the ER.
That kind of goes back to your nursing background though, because I see that old nurse come up sometimes. I'm like, oh, there she is.
Yeah, it was like, it's not. I don't think it's about being too aggressive.
Oh no, I don't.
It's
But they receive it wrong.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and I was like, and usually, because it's kind of like when I've said something, and a lot of times I'm like, they'll say, don't you remember saying that? I'm like, how did I get blacks? Oh, playing with the rocks. You know. I've got some shungite here that just came in the mail, and it's the raw shungite. And I go, that's a fancy word for coal, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm over here playing with these rocks, and now I got black stuff.
make it fit. It won't fit.
I got black stuff all over there. Well, look, there might be another one that's kind of flat to go in there. I don't know.
I still got the worst still too.
Okay,
This one is Jasper. I
Jasper.
had it, I was like,
But yeah, but you know, and it was like, so sometimes, you know, like I said, I feel like I am the ER. You
Isn't
know,
that kind of the same with visions though? Because you know people will get a vision over and over and keep ignoring it, and it gets strong. And like,
Mhm.
okay, why are you being so aggressive, spirit? I'm like, because you didn't listen the first 5 times I tried to tell you.
Yeah, we've practically put it up on a billboard so that every day you pass by that billboard and you see it, and you know, and it's like you're still not reading it.
Flashing lights.
Yeah, kind of like, you know, what are those traffic signs
Oh,
that
this
they'll
is
put
what I
out like,
read.
you know, and then it
Stop
has
here.
it'll flash like with like the Amber Alerts
Oh,
or
yeah.
traffic
over the
buildup.
Bang.
You know, I was like, we're getting
Please
all
don't
of
take
these
the
signs.
drive.
You know, how about don't read and drive? You know, you know. Why do y'all have so many ding dang cool signs on the side of the road? You know, do not decorate billboards. But you know, and that is, I mean, and it's kind of like, so if somebody really wants to know the truth, I would be the one to come see. If you know, because, you know, I have several decks that I read from, you know, and I'll introduce the decks to people, and I'll tell them, okay, the vibration in this deck is like your friend that'll tell you the truth, even when your husband's cheating on you. You know, that you have spinach in your teeth, your outfit looks horrible, whatever.
Mhm.
There's this deck. It used to be my Sacred Rebels. I cannot find that deck anywhere. My personal deck is lost. She left me. So I'm afraid, should I buy another Sacred Rebel? You know, because I'm like,
I
is it she
wonder-
left me? Was there a reason?
I wonder that do you normally do like one deck, or do you do like a couple that people pick from whenever you do like decks?
I set out the decks, and I'll tell you what
Okay.
I do is I tell people, let's look at this from different perspectives.
Mm.
So I want you to choose 2 or 3 decks.
Mm.
Or one deck is the deck of my choice, and then I'll tell them too.
Pick, yeah.
So, a lot of times I'll take at the very beginning, the very top of it will be about your life purpose
Mm-hmm.
or your agreements.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on track? Because a lot of people going, am I on the spiritual path I'm supposed to be on?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, if you're asking that question, probably not. To the degree, if you're not confident on the spiritual path that you're on and you're questioning it,
Mm-hmm.
what's your doubt?
What is the nudge that it's giving you that you're not?
Exactly. So because you're either confident about it or you're not. And if you're not confident
asking
about
myself, I'm like,
you're like, fudge.
yeah, I am.
She brought that up. Crap. Because I had to sit here and say, am I confident on who I am spiritually? And my spiritual, because somebody made a comment once,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of months ago on one of my posts or whatever, and I'm kind of like, about it for a couple of minutes, a couple days, couple weeks. Shit. Anyway, and then I realized in this, it was like, I am confident about who I am and what I believe in, but other people are uncomfortable with that.
But that's not their decision to make about you.
But their perception of
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
So I realized that it's about a perspective. It's about what's the perspective? How can you perceive something or change that perception? So that's why I like to read with a couple of, shush. If somebody said, I could choose 5 decks, I'd be like, we got 2 hours, so let's play.
Mm-hmm.
And I can read those 5 decks and give you 5 different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that is something that's been hitting you in the face
Mm-hmm.
and you've been ignoring it, and all 5 perspectives are going to be in harmony going, drop that dude,
The nice one may say it a little nicer, but
Yeah, because it was like my Sacred Rebels. She could be really like downright rude, and it's like that sex magic deck or love magic deck that I have.
Yeah.
I think she's in that bag over there. I'm telling you what, it's like you can almost feel some S&M kind of crap coming through those cards. So when they're like, I want a reading with the sex magic cards,
I would
like,
be almost embarrassed, to be honest. Me personally, because I'm like,
and I'm kind of like, your shit will be out on the table, and I mean it just like that. Your shit will be out on the table. Are you ready for that?
mm-hmm.
Because those cards. But I will tell you, there's something about the vibration of that. I get obsessed to a degree about sex.
I was gonna say, I get like just super horny all the time. Like that's what I get from it. Because it's like just like
so
turned
good.
on because of that. Yeah.
To me, it would be, to me, it's weird, and it would be almost I'm like, you just see, it's kind of like, trying to get the last bit of my Sprite here. It's like you're looking over there and you start looking around and you notice people around you or whatever, and so if you like guys, every dude looks hot, toothless or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, Mo, oh my God, oh yeah. Look at that tall, and then they're over there looking at you like, what the hell are you drooling about? That's the Hunchback of Notre Dame. That damn hump is sexy.
I could use that hump as a
Front and
pedestal.
the back.
So, yeah. So, yeah. So that particular deck, and it's the, what is it? Let me get it out. Shit. I can hear it screaming at me, going, "Get me out!"
Play with me.
Tarot of Sexual Magic by Laura Tuan and art by Moro de Luca. And I'm telling you,
It sounds very French. Are they French?
I thought it was something like Portuguese. I don't know. We need to look them up, and because I'm just telling you. Actually, you might be correct, because I believe that I had seen a French little booklet in here. In fact, I don't even know where the booklet is, but it was hilarious because I had bought the deck, lost the deck. Somebody had bought an auction, and the auction was with this deck, so I had to buy another deck. And so this is the deck that I got, and so she was the first reading I did with the deck. And I'll just say this, I was very taken back because there was just a couple of things in that reading that came back or came across, and I'm thinking I'm crazy because I'm over there like, oh, and I'm like, I don't know, so I tell her what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, and she like gulps, and she's like, yeah, that's true.
I think it's so interesting whenever you do readings for people because people want to be honest, but then whenever it comes right down to it and you tell them, they're like, then they step back and they're like, oh that's either not what I wanted to hear or that's not true. Yeah, because I wasn't ready. So they
But you asked the question.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's so interesting.
No, and I tell you what, and if it's something that's very, very intimate and something that goes against social mores or whatever, just like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, a lot of chicks weren't coming like totally out of the closet or whatever, and so this guy was doing a reading, and he's like, I'm just telling you got some lesbian tendencies, and she's like, no, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Now I'm trying to look up the artist.
We're like, yeah, okay. So when you're most in denial, I would have, to me, I'm like, girl, you just need to sit back and bobblehead. And go, I was like, don't feed into that. But no, I kind of, some people I think are really, really gifted. And some people, I think, do a really good job of fluff. But and I'll tell you, maybe I need to work on my tact of delivery or whatever. But I'm kind of happy about
it's
the way
Spanish.
They're Spanish, as in like Espanol, as in like Spain Spanish. Okay, my gente.
They must like really crazy sex.
I know. Well, Europe is a little different from the U.S.
That is so true.
They're a little bit more open with things.
I think when you have like a history of arranged marriages, it's not unusual to have a mistress. Which I thought, it's kind of like I have the stereotype in France, of French people all have lovers. That you're married, but you got a lover named. And I was like, that's because of all those damn foreign movies I watched. Were all about married couples that had somebody had a lover.
My grandma liked to watch those a lot, which was really interesting because my grandpa did end up cheating on her, and that's kind of how he died. That's how he died. Yeah, because the girl that he was seeing, her guy found out and got mad.
And killed Grandpa?
Oh
my God.
Yeah.
Es una novela, ándale.
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of you by any means, but I'm like, damn, that's a novella. I was like, I have an ex-in-law that was like part of the cartel. So there's another novella, and he actually got murdered by the cartel. So there's there's a novella.
Oh, wow.
We all got novellas.
Grandpa, don't be mad at me.
Yeah, I was like, well, it's an ex. I don't care. Let me spill some more family beans,
The magic beans.
The magic beans. But no, I mean, so this deck, so they're from Spain.
This was, I think you're going, yeah.
Is a very intense deck. The energy in it, and it says suitable for adults only. Because the pictures are, I could just see one of my 15-year-old, which I don't. I've read a couple of times for teens.
Mm-hmm.
I made their mom sit there.
Yeah, I would do that.
And I will say that I was not what Matthew would say aggressive self. I was really pretty positive and uplifting.
Let's use this deck. This deck will talk nicely.
Yeah. Let's use the Muppet deck.
The Muppet. Hey, that could be a new deck.
Oh, I know. That would be so
funny.
bizarre. Who would be the king? Big Bird?
Kermit.
Kermit?
Yeah.
Kermit.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say
Because
Kermit,
the queen will be Piggy.
Oh, that
Piggy.
would.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh.
And I guess Fozzie could be the magician.
Count Dracula, the.
Oh, the Count.
I'm getting 8 with him. Number 8.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Oh, infinity symbol. The 8 number actually looks like an infinity.
What about Cookie Monster?
I eat all of them. He could be the tower, no?
Green, but there's not a green card.
Abundance, maybe
Yeah, abundance.
Because of the
He'd
cookies.
be the abundance upside down.
Cookie.
Yes.
That's so interesting.
I don't know where people.
I know, because it's kind of like, what were they talking about? The SpongeBob characters
Oh,
are all based on the 7 deadly
sins.
sins.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I can vaguely remember the SpongeBob. SpongeBob, I was like, I'm not into cartoons. There was that Uncle Grandpa, and I used to love cartoons, like grown-up cartoons. I loved cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, I was over at my son's house, and his stepkids were watching Uncle Grandpa. And I'm looking over there, and, from like, it's in my side perspective, and all I see are a bunch of penises in my in my peripheral.
What?
And I'm like, what the? And so I turn and I look at it face on, and if you look at the cartoon, if you look at the male characters, and you really just sit there and kind of look at it for a second, put it on pause when it's, they're not talking, whatever, and just sit there and look at it. And it's a penis.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
Every one of the male characters is a penis.
What about the female characters?
I don't think they look like tacos. I don't think they look like vaginas, but I don't remember. Because, all I'm focusing on is why are all the male characters looking like a penis? And I'm like, and if I can see that from my peripheral, what are they seeing subconsciously?
Yeah.
And, what are they seeing in their subconscious, or what's their brain really processing? And I'm like, I don't think it's cool that they watch these cartoons.
I was really surprised going back, looking at old cartoons, like what they would say, because I didn't really process it whenever I was younger. I would just be like, oh, that's really funny. And then I go back and I'm like, this is not appropriate.
About to age us. But back in our day,
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
the innuendos were more
Right.
subtle back then. The innuendos were there, but they were more subtle than now.
Have you ever seen the one that's a Mickey Mouse back when he was Steamboat Willie?
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
And the one where he's at the cheese factory that's the Swiss cheese. And so he uses his erect penis in order to create the holes in the cheese.
Oh. Well, that's like the Donald Duck one where he was in bed and and he did like this in the show.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that one too. Yep.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think, they go, Walt Disney was the most loving.
Oh no, his comic strips were perverted.
I was like,
before he got
no.
started, the comic
Yeah, I was
strips were
gonna
very
say-
perverted.
I was like,
Yeah,
Walt Disney
it's
was a
bad.
perverted old
Wasn't he
man.
gay or
He was
something?
racist.
I think he was
that was like-
trisexual.
Well, I know he's racist because like the Jungle Book was the whole what What was that song that,
Oh, that's
that was like about
interesting.
segregation? Want to be like be with your own kind or whatever. It was like song. It was in the Jungle Book, but it was blatantly like, if you caught it, it was blatantly racist about segregation.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah,
I was
gonna
like,
say, a lot of the Disney movies have certain things put in there.
Well, like look at Lady and the Tramp, the old version, like, and the Cats. That was during like when we were at war with Japan.
There were cats.
oh, I remember the Siamese cats and
Cyan, what was it? Cyan I Am or something.
yeah, cyan. Oh my gosh, no, I mean it's just I think he's creepy. And then if you read all of the different testimonies of the people that were like programmed, monarch programming and etc. Through you know, the CIA and all of that, they talk about the Alice in Wonderland and the programming and the things that were done over at Disneyland. And actually, my mom was, you know, growing up, she let my sister go when she was like 17 on her senior trip. They went to Disney World down in Florida. And that was something that my mother was like horrified. We could go to any amusement park, but we were not allowed to go to Disney World and we were not allowed to go to Disneyland. And don't even think about her taking you on a vacation there. But it shocked the shish out of me when I caught her shopping at the Disney store and buying my daughter Disney stuff. But I love the costumes and things. But you better not go to that damn Disneyland. You know?
I did a couple years back because my younger brother wanted to go, and we went during December, and even then, like, it was still, like, there was a crap ton of people there.
Oh yeah.
And then there was multiple ones that actually, like, we went on a ride, I think it was like the Epcot or something like that, and one of them actually broke down, and we had to get out. Like, they took us out or whatever, but it was so crazy. Like,
What did you think of the vibration there? You know, I mean, how awake were you when you
during
went to
that time?
during that time? Were you awake, or were you still asleep?
No, I think I was still asleep, and partly because during that time there was a lot of things going on in my personal life, and we actually ended up taking a coworker that was going through a hard time, and so I was trying to help her, but instead, like, I thought I was helping her, but instead, like, it actually made things worse, and so it was just it was. Like, during that time, we went to different places, but whenever we got there, it's not as great as people make it out to be, in my personal opinion. I didn't think it was all that great. That's just me, though. Now that I go back and look at it, it wasn't that great.
Your work doesn't have a little special thing with them, do they? Okay, so you can talk about them. Have you ever been there?
Like in '92.
In '92, what did you think?
I was in second grade. I was like, I'm gonna ride the rides.
All right, so did you, as a child, notice anything about the vibration?
I really don't think it was. I don't think I was. But that was also during the hard time. That was like right before the accident. So, you know, that was like the hard time of my life.
Okay. Because I'm always curious if anybody knows, you know, or picks up a difference in the energy or the vibration. Because, you know, the first time I ever went to Medicine Park, it was really weird. And I don't know if it was the two people that I had gone with that changed the vibration. But anyway, we go to Medicine Park, and you know how where they have like the walk that goes around the Rivery era, and then you have houses that are over like
Pebblestone houses.
You know, the Pebblestone houses, but they kind of go up a little bit, and then they're up there.
They kind of work their way up the hill.
Yep. I'm like walking on that walkway, and we're, you know, taking the little tour over there, and I keep seeing flashes of things that had occurred and they were negative things, you know, so it was like, you know, women being abused, you know, sexually, you know, being raped, and one chick gets, you know, raped and killed, and I'm just over here like, what the hell? I hated it. But I, you know, it was like really, 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 really strong the different vibrations that I had experienced on that first time there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just strange because it was like everywhere we went, people would look at us like really, and to me, I didn't think we looked anything different than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But they kept looking at us like really, really strange. So I don't know why, but it was like I was just picking up all these negative vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only time. The second time I went to Medicine Park, I had my phone, and my phone completely has no satellite or whatever, antenna or whatever
Mm-hmm.
to it, and then it completely clears my pictures out of my phone. I was using it as an alarm clock. That's the only thing I could use it for, and, you know, and a camera. So I had been using it for that, and so
That kind of reminds me of the parallel forest. Stuff like that happens out there all the time.
and so I'd set my phone down and went to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, my phone, all the pictures had been cleared off my phone, you know. And then every time after that, I don't know. I've always had. There's always some kind of funky vibration that occurs when I'm there. I love going there. I will not deny it, but there's always either get a stomach ache, get in an argument, whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Tell us about the parallel forest.
Well, you know, all the trees are lined up parallel, but in the middle of it, there's an old stone altar, and it's got an outer circle, and it's got the two inner circles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because, like, when we go out there and do stuff, like I'll go out there and there's no signal out there, but if you go out and stand on that altar, you'll have like full bars. It's freaky. And like being there during a full moon, it's really. But you gotta be careful because the park rangers can get you to arrest you.
Oh, okay.
You gotta hide the car.
Not supposed to be here.
You're not supposed to be here after dark at the forest.
Why?
Because it's federal.
Oh. Wonder if they would allow you to do a camping trip.
Maybe you have to, but I don't know in that area because there's a lot of wildlife out in the forest. In that forest, there's.
That would make sense, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that probably
Well, I mean, there's
would.
other areas. There's like the lake, and there's certain mountains you can camp out at, and like the lake is where a lot of people do the camping. But like I love, because the parallel forest is like I think like 2 or 3 miles away from the big fault line down in Mears,
Mhm.
so it's right by the Mears Fault, and it's just the energy there is to die for.
Okay, so was that part, that was, the parallel forest, wasn't that part of the WPA project in the 30s?
Not sure on that one.
I want to say that they came through and they planted those trees.
Those were planted trees. They weren't.
Yeah.
They're not.
I want to say it was something like through the WPA. It was a government funded, how they got people back to work between the two wars, and coming out of the Depression or whatever, and it was a project. And so they were going through in Oklahoma. They were doing a lot of different programs in Oklahoma in order to help, try to get people jobs.
Mhm.
So the government was pouring money into things.
There's a lot that goes on out there, but like because it's it's old Indian land too, so you see a lot of the old wars and stuff. If you go in that deep in the forest, you can see the old stuff.
See, and that's, two things. I want to take my metal detector, or I want to get one of those really high-tech, cool, like Whistles Dixie and Brings Me Coffee metal detector, and go out there and go check that out. And, my husband's native, and so we have a bunch of native land, and there's an old wagon trail.
Oh wow.
And he thinks I'm just too much of a wussy to go down there, but I would do it. To go down that old wagon trail and go look for and see what's in there.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You know there's
That'd
something
be
out
really
there.
cool.
So,
But I love that whole area, like that, just Lawton and like Madison Park and Parallel Forest and.
I've never been to any one of those, but I really want to go down to Lawton because me and Ryan have talked about it. And he says that he wants to go there during the time whenever his brother ended up dying. And so he said that he wants to go down there on that day and just like let himself just.
Lawton has a lot of ley lines down there, though, so you gotta be really careful because you could pick up a lot of energy really quick, and if you're not careful, You could tap into something you don't want to tap into down there because there's a lot of...
Very easy. And that was, I think, my lesson on that first time was make sure you wear your purple sunglasses when you come down here.
Oh, yeah.
Because you want to block out some of that. I mean, it's a lot of residual energy. That was you talking about the ley lines and Lawton and et cetera. You think about Fort Sill, and it's really interesting because when you're going through Medicine Park, and you're coming into it where it's going to be over here on your right.
Oh yeah, you're butting up against
All right, on the left side is the Medicine Park part of Fort Sill's backside,
okay.
if it makes any sense.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I always get this particular cabin that's over there because I like the setup of the cabin, first of more, and then I like the outside of it because it goes up this hill, and there's a lot of wildlife that comes out there, and so you sit on the back porch and I smoke my herb and drink my coffee and I watch all the meditate and watch the wildlife, but I swear, and I swear on this, that the wildlife looks bigger on that side of the street than it does on the other side of the street.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like you're looking at it. I mean, even if I'm on the other side of the street and I see that same woodpecker, and I'll just say a woodpecker because that came to my head, and I'm looking at this woodpecker, when we were across the street, and that same woodpecker would be 1.5 times that size that it is on the other side. It was really weird. And I'm like over here like, those cardinals look like they could be frickin' hawks.
I was gonna say the whatever you were talking about, even the landline that you were talking about, the only thing that I saw was like a line of like electrical current. It's almost kind of like there's a force field or something like that. That's that energetic.
Oh yeah. It's that area has got a lot of intense energy. It's Wichita land, mostly it's Apache and it's other tribe too, but a major like Medicine Park is Wichita land. That was owned by the Wichita tribe, and then I guess the government kind of sort of bought it, but haven't finished paying for it. Because my grandfather-in-law worked that deal. Yeah, Frank Miller. I have a picture of him in my living room, and his wife Gladys, and Gladys was the last medicine woman, traditional medicine woman, and it's interesting because Gladys is one of my spirit guides.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and the first time, because we have a picture of her in the living room, and actually I'm thinking about getting a copy made and hanging it up in here. It was a very intense session I was in, and she shows up, and I look over, and it's like, oh my God, it's Grandma Gladys. Hey, girl. Girl. And she's just talking to me, and I'm like, wow. And then I have other stories that I'll tell about going out, which I was like, you really want to go to a magical place, we need to have Brandon take us out to our home place. That's where his grandmother owned that. Gladys, Grandma Gladys, that's her place. And that is some intense energy out there. And every time I go out there, I have a very cool experience. There's a white fox, and the white fox will show up, and you'll see him watch you from here and there. And then one night we were out there, and my husband called down the owls. And I'm telling you, there was hundreds of owls. Hundreds of owls in the trees that surrounded us. And I never felt so much peace and safety in my whole life. And they're like, just be real careful because the owls can attack. And I'm like, no, man, I'm like the owl lady. I'll put my arms out and the owls will come That didn't happen, but, it was really cool. So I was like...
Reminds me of Thomas's mom.
Do what?
His mom's line's the same way. She's got like a spring out there that's the energy.
Oh yeah.
And that's all Choctaw land.
Yeah, this is old Wichita land. You know, kitty-katish, kitty-katish, kitty-katish. Kitty-katish was the sound of an owl. And kitty-katish means, in our language, means I am Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
So you go kitty-katish, and that means I am Wichita.
And the same thing. That's fun.
And I
This
think
is Choctaw say hawk.
hawk. Choctaw is hawk? What?
No, Choctaw say hawk. I'm Choctaw.
Choctaw say hawk. I like that. Choctaw say hawk and
Yeah.
kitty-katish.
It's a license plate.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
fun.
it's on our license plate, Kitty-Katish. That's our band, you know, in our tribe. That's our band, we're Kitty-Katish. And I think that there's a little bit of elitism with it, because they were like, oh, that's Tawakoni, you know, and I'm kind of like, wow, isn't that kind of like the Hispanics, the Latinos? We're bad about that, you know. It's like, oh, you know, I'm from this country and they're from, you know, Bolivia. You know, or whatever.
But the tribes are kind of that way too, like especially like with the five tribes versus the Plains Indians. It's
Yeah.
Because I remember like watching Thomas's mother, she's like, "Oh, them Plains Indians." I'm like, "Miss Jane,
those Apache," you know, or whatever. But
oh,
no,
she just goes, she's like, "It's
those
Plains."
plain. No, and that's true. That is very true. You know, and it's
but it's like all five, and then it's like the five of them together. It's like those five civilized tribes or civilized tribes, and they're like, oh,
the plains, yeah, because we're plains, you know. And so I laugh because it's even in that, you know, we have ethnocentrism or tribal centrism, where it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, it's because they're that tribe, you know, or whatever. You're like, aren't y'all sister tribes, you know? And they're like, well, depends, you know. I mean, to think about in Mexico, if you have a traditional Spanish last name versus an Indian last name, you know, it's very prized to get married to someone that has an Indian last name.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah, you know, within that, you know, that's like a thumbs up, you know. And then like in China, if you're, you know, you're preferred to be very light skinned, and if you're dark skinned or look Indian, you know, type thing, that's really, you know, even in India, I think it's like that. The darker you are, they're like, get back. So I kind of, you know, we all have a sense of centrism in it, you know, north side, south side. Because it was like your move. Because I grew up on the north side of Oklahoma City. I grew up actually in Edmond, north of Edmond, up by Oak Tree.
Oh, well, sounds like up to Guthrie.
So yeah, I mean, actually, we went to Seward County or Seward. Yes, no, it wasn't Seward County. We voted in Logan County, but we went to the town of Seward or whatever to vote or whatever. So I kind of, you know, I laugh at that, you know, because then it was like when I moved to South Oklahoma City, it was like, oh my God! You know what? You're moving to the south side. You know? It's almost like saying she's got cancer, you know?
But I've noticed that, like, there's that, and there is that also elitism in it. Because, like, I remember when my friends started moving up to Edmond, they're like, oh, we live in Edmond now. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You live in Edmond.
But even parts of Edmond aren't always that great, especially.
Oh, but no, if you live in Edmond, though, you live in Edmond. Regardless of which part of it. It don't matter if you live in
yeah, but you live in the ghetto of Edmond, you know.
Yeah.
But I still live in
Edmond. I remember when I bought our house, like, don't build in Edmond, don't build in Norman.
I personally do not like the vibe in Norman.
I like Norman. I lived in Norman for a few years. I like knowing you could get around anywhere you wanted to in Norman. You could literally get anywhere. And I didn't have a car. I just walked everywhere.
I did not like Norman.
I like some of the stuff that they have, like, stores-wise, but if me and Ryan decided to get a place, like, I don't want to get one, because one of the biggest things is, like, just tornadoes there and stuff like that.
Well, Norman's pretty, it's more that's got the, yeah.
But even then, it's still, like,
The thing I hate about Norman, like, during the school year, that traffic is a No, summer.
It's awful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Summer, it's you get from the east side to the west side of town in 5 seconds flat because there's no traffic. Nobody's there in the summer, but in that winter,
In the summer,
when
yeah,
school's in,
school's in.
or that first game of the year, you ain't going nowhere. You go sit your butt at home and
Yeah.
not move.
I went to college there for 1 semester. I didn't even finish the semester. But yeah, it was very I can't do the energy there, especially
And
on
that
campus.
school is taking over. That school's taking over. It's getting bigger every time I go down. I'm like, "This school
That-
grow again?"
Mhm.
That campus gives me the creeps. I get a lot of bad visions on that, but we don't want to go down that road. And it's been an hour, so we're gonna cut it off.
Oh, it has? Really?
Yeah, it has.
Shit.
Well, I know it never. It was like it freaks me out because
It's
when
like we're just
I
chatting.
did the thing on Friday night. It's supposed
Oh,
to be an
yeah.
hour.
It was like
My-
almost 2 hours.
My computer, no, it was an hour and 18 minutes.
Oh, what?
My computer died, so I had no vision. I have no clock in that room. I have no sense of time.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, hell, I hope I've talked for an hour. If not, I like gypped everybody. You know, so then when I logged off, it looked and I saw it. I went, whew, okay. So, well, peace, love, and harmony, everybody, and welcome again to our sacred space. And this is Maris, Matthew, and Gabby with Maris Keeps It Real. Peace, and have a most beautiful Christmas holiday season. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, hit that gong.